The graph below depicts the creation of water channels and how they can be produced. We can see a meander in the first photo, and there are many trees along the meander. There is also a neck in the middle of the meander. However, when we move to the next stage, the sand becomes deposited in the river and eventually, it becomes silt around the river neck. Thus there is a new channel has created, and a new oxbow lake has begun to flow in this direction. To summarize, water and sand pressures are required to sculpt the channels of the oxbow lake. Charts showing Apple's revenue, in millions, and gross margin, in percent, from iPhone's introduction. Gross margins peaked in Q1 F 2012 at over 46% and fell to roughly 32% in Q2 F 2008. Revenue has risen steadily, from a low of $5,000,000,000,000 in Q3 F 2007 to a peak of $55,000,000,000,000 in Q4 F 2012. Generally speaking, Apple's gross margin was at its greatest level since the debut of the iPhone in Q1 2012, and its lowest since Q2 2008. Revenue peaked in Q4 of 2012 and fell to its lowest level in Q3 of 2007. Students in the lab are shown in the graph. According to the graph, we can clearly identify a clamp and a stand on the left side of the diagram. According to the graph, we can clearly discern a male student and several female students at the top. As shown in the graph, there are gloves and spectacles visible in the middle when looking at it from different angles. This is a helpful image at the end. This bar graph compares New Zealand's and Australia's 2010 energy usage, both expressed as a percentage. Both Australia and New Zealand relied heavily on gasoline and oil as their primary source of energy, with Australia utilising 80% and New Zealand using 70%. In addition, Australia and New Zealand were the nations with the lowest use of coal, at around 2% in Australia's case and about 8% in New Zealand's. Petrol and oil were utilised the most, while coal was used the least in both nations on average. The graph above depicts Cincinnati's major crime rate. 26,000 offences were reported in 2001. The majority of the offences were reported in the years 2002 and 2003. Though there was a decline in the number of crimes reported in 2004, 2005, and 2006, they remained nearly comparable to the number of crimes reported in 2001. The recording of the crime rate was lowest in the years 2007 and 2008. Between 2001 and 2008, the average severe crime rate in Cincinnati was roughly 26,000. In the graph, you can see the minimal ice thicknesses. The pickup truck, with a population of about 15, has the most, as shown by the graph. On the graph, the second largest number is found in the sedan, which clocks in at approximately 12. The graph clearly shows that the male has the least number, which is approximately 4. The graph demonstrates that ice is never completely secure. The number of persons living in poverty between 1970 and 1990 is depicted in this line graph. 38% of the world's population, 1.4 billion people, were living below the poverty line in 1970, earning less than $1 a day. Nearly two-thirds of the world's population, 1.4 billion out of 5.3 billion, was living below the poverty line and earning less than $1 a day in 1990. Despite the fact that the number of people living below the poverty level has remained the same, the proportion of people worldwide living below the poverty line has declined during the last several decades. In 1970 and 1990, 1.4 billion people were living below the poverty level. This is a comparison of the number of people who saw a film at a cinema in each country. At 24.5 million, India has the biggest number of cinemagoers in the world. Action was the most popular genre in India, while horror was the least popular, at 2.5 million. Despite this, Japan is the country with the lowest number of cinemagoers, at 17.8 million. At 7.1 million viewers, action was the most popular genre, while horror was the least popular, at 2.2 million. In terms of total number of moviegoers, India has the largest number while Japan has the lowest. A one-bedroom flat is seen in this illustration. The unit is 5.40 x 6.80 m in size. The bathroom is on the right, and the kitchen is on the left, as you enter. You'll discover a huge living area on the right and a bedroom on the left as you continue into the apartment. This image could be used to promote a product or service to potential customers or tenants. The graph below shows the breakdown of fast food consumption by meal. Breakfast, lunch, supper, and a snack are among the options. Breakfast has a value of around 22.7%, according to this graph, while snack has a smaller percentage of roughly 26%. The greatest value of lunch is 43.7, as seen in this graph. You can also observe from this graph that dinner has the second highest value at 42%. Finally, there are 4 types of fast food consumption. Computer, internet, and broadband access percentages for all homes in the United States are shown in this bar graph, which spans the years 1998 to 2009. The graphic shows that each category has grown over time. In light gray, the percentage of people who have access to computers rises from roughly 50% in 1998 to about 75% in 2009. In addition, the percentage of people who have internet connection has increased from 15% in 1998 to 70% in 2009, which is a significant rise. In 2004, just 10% of households had access to broadband. By 2009, that figure had risen to 60%. Finally, the graph provides a wealth of information on internet access in the home. In this bar graph, we can see the quarterly sales of product Z as well as product Y, and X sales of product Z were $13,000 in the first quarter, followed by Project X at $10,000 and Project Y at $3,000 in the first quarter. Product Z sold the most, $4,500, in the fourth quarter, followed by Product Y, $2,000, and Product X, $1,500. From the first to the fourth quarters, goods sales declined dramatically. An LED and a glass cover may be seen in this photograph of a solar light. The lamp cover and the glass cover include all of the solar yard light's components. The solar light's battery, controller board, and LED are all placed near the bottom. The photoresistor and photovoltaic cells are also within. All in all, the solar light has a number of different components. In this photograph, a few youngsters are watching a 3D movie in the theater. All are engrossed in a particular scene. Popcorns and cold drinks can be seen in the photograph. They look enthralled at a particular scene according to their reactions. Especially the boy and girl at the front are astonished. Only a few seats are occupied as many seats can be seen vacant. All are wearing 3D glasses, so it must be a 3D movie. The population density is shown on a globe map in tens of billions of people between 1960 and 2004. In 1960, there were 1.5 million low-income individuals and 0.75 million high-income people. At the end of 2004, 3 million people were considered low-income, while 1 million individuals were considered wealthy. Europe and North America are home to many high earners. There are low-income people throughout Africa and Asia. Unsurprisingly, the number of persons with low incomes was significantly larger than the number of people with high incomes in both 1960 and 2004. The average monthly temperature of 3 African cities is shown in this line graph. which is measured in degrees Fahrenheit. At 55 degrees Fahrenheit in January, Cairo is the coldest place on Earth, whereas the hottest months are July and August. Temperatures in Mombasa peak in March at roughly 83 degrees Fahrenheit and fall to 75 degrees Fahrenheit in July, respectively. Winters in Cape Town may reach 70 degrees Fahrenheit, with the coldest month being July when the temperature drops to 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Cairo has the most monthly temperature change, whilst Mombasa has the least, being consistently hot throughout the year. The procedure outlines the actions necessary to address an issue. In order to begin, you need to identify the issue. The next step is to come up with new concepts. The last phase is deciding on a solution and then constructing the final product. In the fifth phase, the item is evaluated. It is time to deliver the findings. Responding to an issue involves a number of steps, the first of which is articulating the problem and the last of which is providing the results. In this picture, few people are exercising as a team. They are doing exercise in a gym as we can see other equipment used in a gymnasium. Exercise balls can be seen at the back. Team exercising is very beneficial as compared to exercising alone. 3 of them seem to be very enthusiastic about particular exercise. Third person from the left seems to be less energetic and happy. Group exercise gives motivation. Group exercise classes are a great way of meeting new people whilst also staying healthy. For the years 1991 and 2007, the pie charts compare owning vs renting. Home ownership was the most prevalent kind of housing in 1991, accounting for about 60% of all homes, or more than half of all dwellings. The second largest sector was social rental housing, which accounted for over 23% of all houses, or almost one-third. The other dwellings were primarily privately rented, 11%, with just a small percentage being public housing, 6%. In 2007, the number of homeowners had climbed to 70%, or nearly 3/4 of all residences, after 16 years. In comparison to 1991, this was a 10% rise. At 11%, the share of privately rented residences had remained steady. Despite the same proportion, there were 5 million more dwellings in 2007 than in 1991, hence the number of rental homes grew. The city of Delhi continues to be concerned about rising pollution levels. According to a Beijing pollution source, Puram had 985 micrograms per cubic meter of particle matter in the air at 9:20 p.m. during Diwali. At 3 a.m. and 2 a.m., respectively, Anand Vihar and Punjabi Bagh recorded 758 and 853 microgram/m3 of particle matter. When compared to other filthy cities throughout the world, Shenyang, 1,157, and Beijing are not far behind, 722. Singapore, 471, on the other hand, falls considerably behind in this respect.